That being said, we have one more run from HUD 601 over where it is morning in the UK. We're bringing to you Sonic the Hedgehog 3D and 2D, which is a fan game by Sotanuk that explores the concept of what if Sonic 3D Blast's level concept had been turned into a traditional Sonic side-scrolling game, unlike what Sonic 3D Blast actually was, which was an isometric escort mission. I would know, I speedrun that game, but I don't speedrun this game. I have HUDs here to showcase that and explain what we can expect in this run.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Yeah, this is Sonic 3D in 2D. So, as I said in my previous run, traditionally I am a Sonic speedrunner. Stray is just something I've been doing on the side. And this was one of the games that I picked up around about a year ago for a tournament that was held. So yeah, Sonic 3D in 2D, fan game made by Sotanuk. It reimagines Sonic 3D Blast in a classic 2D Sonic game. It's an interesting run. It is casually an incredibly difficult game, so much so it does put a lot of people off. As a speedrun, when you know where you're going, it's a really good speedrun, mostly because it delivers on a challenge that a lot of classic Sonic speedrunners, especially in like glitchless categories perhaps, they don't always find that the challenge is there in certain areas. The one thing I would say is that this was built in the Sonic Worlds engine, and the Sonic Worlds engine has some rather interesting takes on physics. So there are a couple of bits that can go a little bit awry. That's why the estimate is relatively generous, because there are certain sections that if they go wrong will cost me a lot of time, and it's very easy for them to go wrong. But without further ado, we will get on with this run. So we will get things going in 3, 2, 1, go. So immediately going to skip the cutscene. We start off in Green Grove Act 1. Now, in Sonic 3D Blast, the quickest way to pick up speed is either through spin dashing or I think through peeling out. Can you peel out in 3D Blast, Amber?
No, you can only do spin dashing, and it works in a very different way from a traditional 2D Sonic game in 3D Blast. However, here in Sonic 3D and 2D, I believe it is very similar to what you would get in Sonic 2 or Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where your 6-tap spin dashes, or the more you tap the spin dash button before you take off, maximum of up to 6 taps, will increase your speed to the highest point of release.
Yep. So yeah, spin dashing is definitely way faster than peeling out in this game. We do have the peel out available. Here's the first boss, is Silver Sonic. I'm going to try and set up here for a particular strat. Oh, can I recover this? Yes, I can. Nice. So every time we hit Silver Sonic, he dashes across the other side of the screen. We can, just next to the palm tree, just balance on top of him and bounce back and forward, and that finishes that one up nice and quick. That's Green Grove 1 done already. Now, a couple of things with this game. One, we can skip the time bonus. Hallelujah. Secondly, invincibility frames, or iframes. Normally when Sonic takes damage, you get a certain amount of invincibility frames. I can't remember the exact time on traditional games. In Sonic 3D and 2D, Sota halved that time. So damage boosting, which is where we intentionally take damage to get through an enemy or an object that's in our way, is far less effective in this game, to the point of being almost non-existent, which is one of the reasons it's a lot more challenging. But we're going to continue on. The first levels are relatively straightforward. It's just kind of go right to win. I just need to control my speed here a little bit. I don't want to bonk that ceiling there. I want to come down here, up on the springs, and already to the second boss. Now, this is one of the bosses. This may seem familiar-ish. I'm going to try my best to get some hits here with the insta-shield. But again, rings are paramount because you basically get no time on the invincibility frames. There we go, and that's the final hit done. So anytime I'm doing any kind of damage boosting, rings are absolutely paramount. I will always prioritize rings over everything else, because you get so little time in that invincibility phase. It's very easy to take an accidental death in doing so. I'm going to go... Oh, go on, yeah?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're going to go through this little door here into Rusty Ruin 1, and we have the Saturn music for this, because the Saturn music is far better in my opinion.
I am going to disagree for Rusty Ruin, but it's still an incredible track for both versions of the soundtrack. In fact, Rusty Ruin is one of the zones in Saturn that I really think is incredible. But that being said, some folks are asking about the soundtrack. Some people are asking, I'm not seeing Sonic 3D Blast out of this. And let me touch on some things here as we go through Rusty Ruin 1. Sometimes following the Knuckles statues that point you supposedly towards your goal, but not always the fastest way.
Whoops.
But this game was developed with the idea of taking the concepts of Sonic 3D Blast and putting them in a 2D game. I do agree that I don't see 3D Blast in this game at all, other than name and music and some elements of some of the levels. This is definitely much more a fan game than it is a remaster or remake or demake or anything like that. Because Sodanuk took, difficulty liberties. Knack the Weasel or Fang the Sniper are definitely not a part of 3D Blast. Neither is Silver Sonic or anything like that. And I find the difficulty of this fan game to be, not fantastic. I think that this is one of the... While it's a completed fan game and worth checking out, I give it a cautious recommendation if you're just curious, but do not... expect the best quality fan game here, I think. It is good, and Soda has improved things, but I do think the difficulty curve can put people off.
I agree. I mean, the first time I played this game, just trying to complete it on my first playthrough, it took me over 2 hours. I'm gonna get hit here, that's fine. It took me over 2 hours to complete, and it's mainly due to some of the later levels and the boss. Also, Rusty Ruin here. This particular zone, it ups the ante on the difficulty by, the nth factor. And this is built like a labyrinth. It's very easy to time over in Rusty Ruin if you don't know where you're going. This particular level is interesting, actually, because the end point is pretty much right next to where you start. You just have to go a very long way to actually get there. Which, again, does cause some problems. I'm going to try and keep my fire shield here a second. But yeah, it really does up the difficulty level. If you want a true, 2D classic Sonic challenge, then it's really good for that. But, if you're someone who maybe isn't particularly familiar with the classic games and just wants a fun, casual playthrough, this one might not be for you. I'm just going to slow down here and just find out where this is. There it is. So, one of the unique aspects... Oh, sorry, go on, Amber.
I was gonna say, I can't really necessarily agree that this is, akin to the classic 2D difficulty level.
It's way above.
It's definitely above, and I feel like, to a fault, there are, obstacles in your way that shouldn't be in the way. I do really like how he reimagined some of the bosses, though. This one in particular, I thought was, a really cool way to handle, in 3D Blast, this boss is a immovable knight, suit of armor that just has arms that move. Mm-hmm. But, this, it's more like the Sandopolis Golem at the end of Sando 2. I like that.
Yeah. So one of the unique aspects of this game is you can carry shields between levels. So we ended Rusty Ruin 2 with a fire shield. We start Spring Stadium 1 with a fire shield. This is particularly useful in a couple of areas. The first place this is useful is actually in Spring Stadium 2. If I can keep hold of this fire shield all the way through this level, to the start of Spring Stadium 2, I can actually take Knuckles' route at the beginning. It's an incredibly hard thing to do, though. It requires basically near-perfect gameplay, which is hard enough in itself, but in this particular game, with so many enemies, one of the things you'll notice is there are enemies everywhere.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with it, I feel.
Yeah. Ooh, going down, don't get squished. Whoa.
Ooh.
So yeah, there are enemies basically everywhere in this game, and it certainly makes it a real challenge to get through this without taking any damage. If we do lose the fire shield here, though, it's not the end of the world. It really only saves us about 10 or so seconds in Spring Stadium 2. There is also a quicker route in Diamond Dust 1 if we can keep it all the way through that as well. Again, it's only about 5 or 10 seconds. The real big one comes up later on, where we will be grabbing a lightning shield in Diamond Dust 2, and I need to keep it for Volcano Valley 1 because the time save is about 1.5 minutes. Whoops. So this is Tails doll. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, that's funny that you mentioned you want the lightning shield for Volcano Valley, considering in the 3D Blast speedrun, we want to keep our fired shield really, really badly.
Oh, there it goes. Yep. Went the wrong way. So what I was trying to do here was manipulate the Tails doll, now the evil Tails doll, to always stopping there. which if I'm on the right-hand side of the screen facing left, he will always stop in a particular spot. If I deviate from that, he will move, and it can be very difficult to get out of it. This game also features roll jump control lock, which means if I jump from like a spin dash, I'm locked in that direction. I can't slow down or speed up or anything. So it does make it a little bit tricky. So we lost the fire shield. Again, not the end of the world. It only saves about 10 or so seconds here in Spring Stadium too. So we will just go the traditional route.
Oh, thank God you do Genesis music for this one.
And true to its name, there are springs everywhere.
Have you heard the Saturn one of Saturn? Like of Spring Stadium 2?
No, I have not. Is it really that bad?
It is pretty bad. So Spring Stadium 1 and Saturn OST is actually fine. Spring Stadium 2 Saturn OST just sounds like Saturday morning cartoons gone wrong.
Oh dear.
But someone had asked what about the soundtrack? I wish we could have some of the Saturn soundtrack. If I recall, this game lets you lock to one or the other, or alternate or select what ones you want for what zones. Is that right?
Yeah, so you can download this game for free. If you just search Google for Sonic 3D in 2D, you'll find it's the top link. Along with that is a download for the Saturn soundtrack. You can pop it into a folder with the game. There's full instructions when you download it. And yeah, you can choose which soundtrack you want for which levels. You can select it all the way down to the individual acts.
Oh, cool.
I'm just waiting on a cycle here. There we go.
Whee!
So skipping a little section there using the barrel. The barrel physics are completely different to what you'd expect. I'm going to drop down here, grab some invincibility for the boss of Spring Stadium 2. We've all played Big Arms on Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Say hello to Small Arms.
Is that what we're going to call like the tantrum baby boss of Spring Stadium 2?
That is apparent
in the original game.
I don't know about the original game, but according to Sota's like internal code name for that boss was Small Arms.
I can see that.
So trying to keep it somewhat akin to 3D Blast, but again, taking some liberties with it because, it's hard to reimagine some of the bosses in 2D. Now, one of my favorite songs in the whole soundtrack, Diamond Dust, and of course we get our required snowboarding section, as all 2D Sonic games apparently now have to have, or any Sonic game for that matter. There's certain things you have to have, which is like, a winter zone, a lava zone, an underwater zone, a sand zone, and apparently snowboarding. Just a required thing.
Yeah, you also need a green zone and or a city zone.
Yes.
And we can't forget the casino zones.
Oh god, casinos.
I mean, you also run like various miscellaneous categories, including gambling percent in Sonic 2.
Gambling percent, yeah. So for anyone wondering, during a Sonic 2 tournament, we needed to fill some time once after a runner dropped out. And we had this great idea of why don't we have a race to see who can get to 999 rings first in Casino Night 1 or 2. That kind of joke/meme grew into what's known as gambling percent, which is now an official category on the Sonic 2 leaderboard. That has since grown even further due to various memes and other things to be what will soon be an official game kind of not category, like an actual... what's the word I'm looking for, Amber?
Side mode?
Yeah, like a side game, if you like, in Sonic 2 Absolute, called the Gamble Scramble. Where it'll actually keep track of... Oh, I lost my my shield.
Whoa.
That's a pain. Again, Sonic Worlds engine has some interesting physics. It's okay, we can do this boss a different way. It's going to take a little bit longer, but no big deal.
Yeah, Sonic Worlds has gotten slightly more accurate over the years. If you were to play a fan game like Sonic before the sequel or after the sequel, and compare those physics to this feels a lot closer, but Sonic Worlds is definitely not a perfect engine. It's a very good framework for a beginner, if you like, because this game started, I think, development in 2017. But even going as far back as like 2012, where Sonic before and after the sequel were released, Sonic Worlds has been a prominent thing. And Freedom Planet was, I think, also built on Sonic Worlds initially. It was a very heavily modified version. And I think Freedom Planet 2 comes out this month.
Ooh, does it?
I think so.
Nice.
I can confirm that in a moment, because like that game started life, Freedom Planet 1 started life as a Sonic fan game. And if y'all like Sonic fan games, by the way, there's a really cool event that happens every year online called Sage, or Sonic Amateur Game Expo. And they have a bunch of indie games that are unrelated to Sonic, but they also have fan games from different franchises, including like Sonic and Crash Bandicoot and stuff. That's sageexpo.org. They're really cool. I like playing the games every year and checking out the demos of indie games, so you might find some diamonds in the rough. Or even find like a fan game that, you know, maybe finishes a few Finnish fan games this year on the expo as well. Oh yeah, this is a really cool interpretation of this boss for Diamond Dust.
Oh, I lost every time in a marathon run. So that happened for me in another marathon at the weekend as well, which is a real pain because that's like the final bit where I need to keep that lightning shield for the next level. So it is unfortunate. We are going to continue because it actually cost me more time now to restart the level and go back and get it than the time that I would save in Volcano Valley 1. Losing that lightning shield, it's a real pain. It's going to cost me about a minute to a minute and a half now in Volcano Valley 1. The reason I wanted to keep it was because that, combined with some invincibility, gives me just enough time to take Knuckles' route, which is a lot faster. We can get to the boss within about 45 or so seconds. Instead, I have to take Sonic's more traditional route here, which takes about a minute and a half. And then for the actual boss itself, it's kind of like an auto-scroller climbing section, but it's one where you'll see when we get there, like the lava, you can actually speed it up by going faster. So again, having the lightning shield to climb that area faster is massively beneficial. And that bit saves about half a minute. So we're going to lose some time here. It's okay. We've baked this into the estimate because it is possible for that to happen. It's incredibly difficult to keep it.
And also to confirm, Freedom Planet 2 comes out on September 13th. So it's right around the corner, as it is now September 7th here in the States, or September 8th where HUD's is in the UK.
Okay, I kept the shield here for once, which means I can come through this way, which skips a little bit of a section, which is nice.
Also, someone has quoted you as saying, you can speed up by going faster.
To be honest, yeah, that's the kind of thing I say.
That is a very HUD's thing, yes.
Yeah. Another thing I've said along that lines recently was 10 years ago is not now.
Well, yes, you don't say.
Which is categorically true, I will have you know. 10 years ago definitely is not now.
Like, I appreciate you spitting facts, HUDs. Just spitting straight facts.
Such a me thing to say. Oh, dear. So yeah, normally we'd be here around about the 45 to 50 second mark. You can see we're here at 1 minute 33. That's the time loss you get from losing that shield. And that's why shield strats and keeping them between zones is so important for certain aspects of this game. But yeah, you very briefly there saw Metal Knuckles, who very rarely gets an appearance in anything, actually.
Yeah, I actually appreciate, like, while I notice that they do use the creepypasta version of Tails Doll, like the whole like evil Tails Doll thing. Tails Doll and Metal Knuckles were actually first featured in Sonic R, which is also a Traveler's Tales developed Sonic game, much like 3D Blast. So it is kind of cool to see it here. I also have someone in chat that is known for saying really silly things on stream, saying it could be worse, HUDs.
It certainly could, TGH. It certainly could.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll give you 3 guesses who said that.
I know exactly who said that. Who else could it be? Shoutouts to Jay.
Actually, I'm curious. I know you play on a Genesis controller for Sonic games. What's your 6-tap spin dash method? Do you piano roll or do you roll your thumb across?
I piano roll, so I use my 3 middle fingers to kind of piano roll.
Yo,
like that.
team piano roll, let's go.
What's really interesting that most people don't know is I don't hold the controller in both hands. I only hold the controller in my left hand and I rest the right hand side on like my desk.
Yeah, like you've done that. I've seen you play it on your cat before.
Yeah, that was a thing. Oh, also, that's a glitch.
That sure is a glitch.
Okay, so there's a bit of a story behind this. Let me just quickly do this one, because this one I got to do in mid-air. It's a lot harder. Hey, got it. Nice. First try.
Nice.
During the run-up to the Sonic 3D and 2D tournament, it was found, I think, by Iandis was the runner who found it, that where there's these breakable blocks, they have a little bit of a weird collision. And in doing so, if you can actually squeeze into the gap between the block and the wall above it, it clips Sonic into the wall, and the Sonic Worlds engine just immediately teleports you directly up until you get out of the wall. The only place we find that's useful is here in Volcano Valley 2, where there's 2 sections you can do that in, which you just saw me do. One of them's really easy to set up using the lift. One tap spin dash, and then just run into the wall and turn around. The other one is a mid-air one, which is a lot trickier, although thankfully got it first try. Those 2 combined skip the entire level. This level's normally about 3 to 3.5 minutes long. But those 2 combined skip the whole thing. Now, Sota did patch it out of the game. And we kind of went to Sota and said, hey, if you patch this out, that's fine. It's your game. You're welcome to do whatever you want. Just know we will never run on the latest version again. It's too much time loss if we don't. If we don't run on an old version. So Sota made us a deal and said, look, run on the latest version of the game, and I'll give you a command to add that glitch back in. Now, Sota, during the tournament, told us that every time he sees that glitch being performed, he feels like he's losing a life. So the command to add it back in is Sota loses lives. Nice little tidbit. So, shout-outs, by the way, to developers who work with speedrunners to make sure that not only are the games fixed up, but also that they don't make the games, uncompetitive for us, for newcomers. It's always a really nice thing when the developers work with us, when we find stuff. They obviously want to patch it and make their games bug-free, but when they work with us to try and find a good compromise, it really does mean the world. Sota being one of them, who's always worked really hard on not just this game, but also his mods for Sonic 3 Air on that. Also, your carryout as well for Sonic 3 Air itself has worked really closely with the speedrunners, not to take away things that we need for the speedrun. So through we are then into gate. Where am I going? I've gone the complete wrong way. Yeah, I need to go this way. Whoops. Kind of lost where I was then. It's fine, we've recovered. Again, I don't need that shield. I actually want to lose it before the end, because coming up is probably one of the worst bosses. I'd actually say second worst boss, depending on the RNG that I get.
I was going to say Panic Puppet is probably the worst.
Yeah, Panic Puppet I just loathe. But yeah, Giga here, using the elevator concept. This bit you might recognize. I think it's from Sonic 2 on the SMS. I think that bit's in.
Yeah, left one is Silver Sonic from Sonic 2. Then it's Mecha Sonic from Sonic 2. Metal Sonic from CD. Mecha Sonic from 3 and Knuckles. And then the one on the right is Metal Sonic 3.0 from Sonic Rivals 2? Or no,
oh boy.
Oh, no, I lied. That's the, I think that might be, oh no.
This is not the one I wanted. So, just to quickly explain for everyone in chat, I'm going to get 3 bosses here. Each one comes out after the one before it's taken 6 hits. This is the one I did not want. This one is an absolute pain in the backside.
Wait, oh, I recognize this one. This one is actually in the test tube in Sonic Adventure near Final Egg and is never actually used.
Oh, it's such a pain. Come here, you. Hey, got the final hit. Nice. And then we got Mecha from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is fine. So there is a special switch in this level that if you hit it, you actually get all 5 of them at the same time. For obvious reasons, we don't go and hit that button. If you want a true challenge, though, go ahead and hit it. It's not fun.
Does it unleash all of them at once?
It does, yeah. You get all 5 at once. It's near impossible. Oh, blimey. So yeah, what I was saying, yeah, and again, Gene Gadget 1, very much designed like a labyrinth. You can end up going all over the place through the different lifts and elevators. Gene Gadget 2, designed more like a puzzle. There are gates here made of electricity. where we need to actually go and press some buttons to open those gates up to let us through. Or, if we grab a lightning shield, like this one here, we don't need to press the buttons, we can just walk straight through them. So this is the strat we use for this level. I'm going to come down here, onto this section, jump up here, avoid the squid, and through the first gate. Now, this next section has been rerouted since the tournament. We now come over here and go this way. And it was Ben in Sweden who showed me this one, so shout out to you, Ben. Thank you for showing me this route. It's far easier and far more reliable. There is also a backup lightning shield here if we need it. We can come on top of this lift, do a peel out, jump up the top, and take this route here instead. I believe this is meant to be a Tails/Knuckles only route, but again, we can take Sonic with the help of the shields. Run through that one, into this second lift, hold right, because we want to go to the right direction, and then spin dash through here, and we are at the boss.
Okay, I thought you were about to get squished. Also, someone saying they saw. Oh God, of course you can. Someone was saying that they saw Shadow on the goal sign. That is correct. Shadow and Amy are unlockable characters in this game.
Yeah.
No! Oh no! 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 No!
Yeah. Sonic World's engine is interesting. That's okay. So we want that lightning shield for Panic Puppet 1, but we can pick up a second one along the way. It's not a problem. There is like a death pit on the left there, and quite often I can hit Robotnik on the right side, and where he's supposed to rebound me off towards the right, it can actually just phase you through him, and you end up in the left and dead. Janky is definitely the word for that boss. Okay, down the bottom. We're not going to go and press the button to turn these around. We're just going to peel out and jump over them. There's our backup light shield. I want to try and keep this one all the way to the end if I can. I certainly need it for one section coming up. If I do lose it before that section, I will restart the level.
Now, just to confirm, progression casually is possible without a lightning shield, right?
It is, but it costs so much time.
Okay.
Put it this way, it costs so much time, none of the speedrunners actually learn the normal route. It is just so much quicker to restart the level and do it again, even if it takes you 2-3 attempts. The reason you need it is for this bit here. So I'm going to peel out, do a jump, come up this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to here. Along this way. And that's just skipped about easily a third to half the level. Now, we want to try and keep this shield for the boss at this point. The reason being is... let me just time this jump. There we go. The reason being is that the second part of the boss in this level has a laser attack, and the only way to attack him is with the lightning shield. It's also possible to get pretty much all the remaining hits you would need from those lightning shield hits. Actually keeping the shield to that point, though, is a challenge in itself. So we'll see how we get on. I make no promises, basically.
So I see some talks about the history of the music of 3D Blast and like later its use in Sonic Adventure. I want to give a little context here. So the Japanese release of Sonic 3D Blast was only ever on Saturn version until Sonic Mega Collection came out. They did not get the Genesis OST. It wasn't until Sonic Adventure that Jun Senoi was able to repurpose some of the tracks in Sonic 3D Blast's development for use in Japan with the release of Sonic Adventure. So that's actually one of the reasons why a couple of the tracks made it into Sonic Adventure. Also, this boss is so bad.
It's a real pain. I mean, this bit's relatively straightforward. So we just get him to bring his little prongs out, and then we fly to the other side. And then we hit whatever that is. An exhaust? I don't know what that is. A button. So 8 hits on this one. This one, as I say, not too troublesome. It's this boss that causes all the problems.
Yeah, this one's... Like, you basically are doing a giant, long boss fight, like 2 bosses in one. here. I can't remember if there's a phase 3.
There is not, thankfully.
Okay.
So the attacks that this boss does are random. You can manipulate them a little bit. But for the most part, it's basically random, and it's pretty tough. Oh, got the extra hit without losing the shield. Nice. So far, not had the laser, though. There it is.
You were
saying?
saying?
Not in position. I'm not in position. Yeah, it's fine. I went for it, but not in position. Was not expecting that. It's not normally a position we get it in.
Oh, Tails.
Yeah, Tails is definitely going to take a lot of hits here. Hey, final hit. Nice. That actually wasn't too bad, believe it or not. That can go a lot worse. So yeah, what you ideally want is after the initial attack, like the very first attack, you don't want to bring him to the top. So you kind of go to the bottom, it brings him down, you then bring him to the top, and then you want the laser, because then you've got just enough time, if you're in the right position, to jump up the side of him, above, and then just bounce on him with by using the lightning shield. It's very, very tricky to get into that position. It's very tricky to do. Thankfully, we kind of got okay RNG on the other attacks. We were able to get most of the hits off. The first time I played it, that boss took me, I think it was around about an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes to beat. It's brutal.
Wait, that was Act 1. I forget that's just Act 1.
Yeah, that's Act 1. Now on to Act 2.
Holy buckets.
Yeah, it really, like, you know, as if some of the other levels didn't turn things up in this game, like that one just dials it to 11, like all the way. So Panic Puppet 2, a little bit easier. Again, another level that can have some interesting routing choices. There is a very important jump coming up that I'm going to concentrate for. If I get it, I save a lot of time. If I don't, I lose a lot of time. And it's a very tricky one to do. We need the fire shield to do it. So I'm just going to concentrate here a second.
And while you concentrate, someone's asking if this is a 2D remake of 3D Blast. It is, yo, nice. This is more of a what-if scenario of, like, what if Sonic 3D Blast had been made as a 2D Sonic game? It's not really a remake because there's a lot of liberties with the game taken. There are no flicky escorting. The entire core concept of 3D Blast has gone out the window. It's just the level themes that have stuck, really. And the game is also harder than your typical 2D Sonic game, or fan game for that matter.
A lot harder.
And, like, I think the concept is really cool, and reimagining some of the bosses are really cool as well. But I will say, like, I can only cautiously recommend this game to newcomers who do not want to, like, who are looking for more atypical Sonic experience. This is not your typical Sonic experience. I feel like partly to its own detriment at times. But this is going to be interesting. This is very similar to how 3D Blast handles its not true final boss, but its final boss of Beat the Game. Where you have to avoid the arms every phase, or avoid whatever obstacle Eggman has coming out of the hands in each phase, while attacking the blue shoulder lights in this case. And as you can see, the fire shield here greatly trivializes these flamethrowers. These flamethrowers are also present in the 3D Blast boss as well. But you don't get a shield in that boss.
Yeah, really handy to keep the fire shield through this level. Obviously, you saw me do that jump over the water. Need the fire shield for that one. But keeping the fire shield all the way to the boss, it certainly makes that second section trivial. Now, it's supposed to protect you, as you saw there, from the projectiles on this stage, but doesn't always work. No one's quite sure why. But 3 hits either side. Time's going to be coming up very soon. It's going to be on fade out after Sonic jumps off the screen when we do our final hit. That's final hit. It's going to jump off screen. We're going to fade out, and time.
GG.
And you're not going to believe it. Losing that Lightning Shield and Diamond Dust 2 just cost me a PB.
Oh, don't say that.
That's the only reason I just lost a PB there.
Oh,
It's fine. It's the way it goes. I'm really happy with that run, to be honest. That was a really nice run. Most of it fairly clean as well. So for a game that's so tricky to do, it's a really, really hard one to actually, get to a reasonable level. I'm pretty chuffed with that, actually. I think that went really
that
well.
was a really good run, I think. Honestly, if you want to check out this run, Google Sonic 3D and 2D. It is the first result. I believe it's on somewhere on Game Jolt, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
So check this out. If you like other Sonic fan games, check out Sonic Amateur Game Expo or Sage at sageexpo.org. They are going right now. They have a bunch of indie games, bunch of fan games, Sonic-related stuff. Definitely worth checking out. They do it every year. It's an online-only expo, and developers can submit demos or full finished fan games. Like, there's a few of them there this year. But you should check out HUDs if you haven't. Go follow HUDs at twitch.tv/HUDs601. If I can type your hecking URL. If you...
do come drop me a follow. It'd be lovely to see you over on my side. As said, I do Sonic speedruns throughout the week. I'm currently learning the Sonic 8. That's Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic CD, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Spinball, and Sonic Mania to then do in a single run. I'm going to be picking up another fan game, Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, also a fantastic fan game, by the way.
Which is also part of Sage this year.
Also part of Sage this year, yeah, absolutely. We're going to be continuing to do some Sonic 3D and 2D speedruns as well. And as you saw previously, I do stray speedruns on a Sunday. It'd be lovely to come and see you. We've got a lovely, wholesome community. Big shout outs to Club 601, by the way. You lot are utterly fantastic. So yeah, it'd be good to see you that side. Also, if you like cat content, just a quick plug, Ted601 is my cat. We stream Loaf Cam most days of the week when I'm at home. So if you like just seeing cats and chilling out, then come follow Ted601. We have lovely Loaf Cam vibes.
Heck yeah. And also, if you are interested in getting into speedrunning Stray, but you haven't learned the run, unlike HUDs, be sure to tune in tomorrow and race alongside J Hobbs and Keyser on when they race it on the first step starting at 7 p.m.